Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us on Ideas Exchange. Tonight, I want us to brood over a few things that have been happening in our country, and I want us to think together about why things are going the way we see, and if there is any reason why it should be so. Last week, for example, when there was the debate over the import restrictions bill, and we heard several groups of people talking about it and the fact that government must tread cautiously on its decision to ban the import of about 22 items, there was a surprise U-turn when the Minister for Information addressed the media, suggesting just before the budget was approved that government had decided to suspend that particular bill. Don't forget, it was about the third attempt government make, irrespective of the cry by GUTA or the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana or the Food and Beverages Association, all stakeholders, including the minority, which vowed to kick against it in Parliament. But what we were learning was that the IMF had cautioned government or had warned government that it cannot just wake up one day and ban certain imports. And that is what pushed government. Otherwise, government was going to force its way through. Even it was about 10 times it was going to make the attempt to lay the bill in Parliament. And so now as we speak, we know the bill has been suspended and further engagements are supposed to take place. But government may have done this irrespective of what Ghanaians were saying. So the IMF spoke and government is listening. So it will look as if this was done to make it look like the way we passed the e-levy. Now, it brings to question what we have done to ourselves over the period. I would say kudos to GUTA, Awingo Bait Imports and Exporters Association of Ghana, Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, John Awuni, and of course, Federation of Labour and the minority in Parliament. But that does not rest it. I'm asking myself, for example, if you choose one item, you have a sugar factory there. This sugar factory is supposed to be revamped. It was built brand new and everything was done to test the production of sugar. So all government had to do over the last 7+ years was to see how they can inject some capital, which was already sitting there because a loan had been secured from the Indian government. We are not producing sugar and we want to ban sugar. The only thing that will happen is that there will be demand for sugar and maybe people will sneak it in or people will be exploiting those who will be importing sugar. Now, last week, another issue also came up, and this is about the lithium agreement and whether it is better for Ghana or not the best. But a lot of people, well-meaning Ghanaians, have been speaking to it. At least somebody who has advised government as the legal advisor to the president before, the former Chief Justice, has been speaking to it. We have IEA, which is speaking to it. We have the Christian Council, the Chief Imam's Office. You have the minority in Parliament. In fact, we have various groups who are speaking to it. Even a member of the Council of State has said this agreement is bad. Let us talk about it. Yet we have government officials defending what they have done, which we see is a rip-off, as if they have been paid to defend the Australian investors whose own job is to take our resource just for free. Now, I want you to reflect on what the IEA, and I'm referring to Dr. John Kwache, who is the Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, has just said. And it is very instructive. All he's saying is that Ghana is sitting on unmined mineral resources worth $10 trillion. If you didn't hear it, or if you have come across it, I want to repeat it again. Ghana is sitting on unmined mineral resources worth $10 trillion. And there's the Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Dr. John Kwache, who is among those who are kicking against the lithium find and how we are going to exploit it. And so you find out that many people are worried about whether what we are doing as a people is misplaced priority or selfish interest, or we are thinking about the taxpayer, or want to look at best practice. But the Lands and Natural Resources Minister, for example, is saying that what they have done is the best and therefore we should go for it. But I want you to watch this video. It only reflects how careless we have been as managers of our country, because what I see there, I'm told, is the Kintampo Falls. And if indeed it is the Kintampo Falls, as I heard. You listen to the noise at the background. What I saw on social media, and my checks indicate it is most likely true, if that is the Kintampo Falls, the color of the water should tell you why it is so. Illegal mining activities under the guise of what people say is community mining. Only yesterday we heard that 23 civil society organizations have petitioned government, and of course through the president and the Speaker of Parliament, that the law that has been passed, which gives room for some level of mining in forest reserves, is bad. It breaches our constitution, yet we have used the numbers to pass it, and under the guise of community mining, we have pushed all kinds of people there, and we are destroying what we have. So the question is, why are we doing so? Is it that, for example, in the case of lithium, we cannot raise our own resources to add value to the lithium and make so much money? For example, if you go to Nigeria, as I speak, we know that Nigeria's oil sector has been hit by the exodus of foreign companies. But the good news is that some of the very rich Nigerians are putting their resources together and they are building refineries. So Dangote, for example, has taken delivery of the first consignment of crude oil to be refined. And just as he's doing so, the information I have is that another billionaire in Nigeria is also working at building a refinery. And I want to read categorically what I picked. It says, after Dangote, another Nigerian billionaire is building a new refinery. Bua Group chairman and CEO of Abdul Samad Rabiu said that when completed, the refinery will be helping to reduce Nigeria's dependence on fuels and petrochemicals. But in Ghana, what we are doing to ourselves is to plan about how to sell the Tema oil refinery still for peanuts over a lease period for a short number of years. Tonight, my conversation is with a young politician. This young politician has earned respect for himself because he has been consistent in speaking truth to power, chasing government, tracking government expenditure, and the exposés have come out to be true. He'll be joining us later on this program. But what we are going to do is that we are going to make this conversation tonight in two folds. Because at the time I was planning to have a conversation with him, he called me that he has a crash program, which is an invitation by the Office of the Chief Justice. And guess what? The Chief Justice and the Judicial Service have raised as much as 125,000 cedis to support the people of Mepe. They are supporting the people of Mepe when a whole government machinery, which even has gone ahead to plan and announce a budgetary allocation to support flood victims, is yet to hit the ground to give them the support. I find this very emotional and very instructive because beyond the several private companies, the individual Ghanaians, we have the Office of the Chief Justice also touched. And that gesture, I believe that will go a long way to bless as many people who have been affected in the Mepe area as far as the spillage of excess water in the Akosombo Dam and the pond dams are concerned. And so what we are going to do is I'm going to play back excerpts of exactly what the Chief Justice has said. Then we'll listen to the MP for Mepe, the MP for North Tongue, and of course one of the chiefs. Then I'll have my conversation with Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. So let's listen to the Chief Justice now.
Originally, we had planned to travel to you. That's how much we wanted to show our love. We wanted to come over to you and to stand with you, express how we felt, and to hand over our contributions. Looking at the records, we had donations from almost 340 members of the Judicial Service and the Judiciary. Of course, I had felt the pain along with everybody from the first day we heard the news. I had wondered, what do we do? And so when the thought concretized that I could ask the entire Judiciary and the Judicial Service to join me rather than just find my little pocket, just find what I could put out. I think I could mobilize all my brothers and sisters to join me so that we could give you a more significant sum. So we put out the word. A committee was set up, co-chaired by Her Ladyship Jana Pari Battles Kujo and Her Ladyship Justice Kranting, who is a Judicial Secretary and also a member of the Court of Appeal. And it was beautiful to see the outpouring. It came 50 CDs, 100 CDs, 200 Ghana CDs, 1,000 CDs. It came in all sorts of figures. Everybody, as their hearts were moved to do so. And eventually we ended up with almost 125,000 Ghana CDs. Close to 340 members of the Judicial Service and the Judiciary who have put this together. And as has already been stated, it comes as a token of our love, of our fellow feeling, of our knowledge that we are all together. This is one nation. We used to say one nation, one people, one destiny. And that is true. We were taught the pledge in school, and it is true. We are one nation, one people, one destiny. We've had to shut down the courts in Ada. Even now, we have to think about how to reopen. And it's not just one court. It's more than one court that we had to shut down that had been affected. And despite the shutdown, we have to remember that people need to access the courts, because the courts are not just for disputes, but they are also for dealing with people on remand, dealing with people with letters of administration, with adoption, with all sorts of issues that pertain to human transactions. So we have to hurry up and open the courts. And so as long as the situation is not totally alleviated, we are in this together. It is our prayer that as time goes on, the pain will be forgotten, that something good will come out of this really horrible situation. I must say that I think that all of us as Ghanaians ought to give thanks to God that we didn't lose a life. That is, for me, that was one of the most critical pieces of news I heard. I wondered how many, apart from things that are lost, human lives are the most important. And then I read the news that no life was lost. And I was very, very grateful to God on that. So we thank God that everybody came out with their lives. And we look forward to hearing that anyone who was sick is fine. And we thank you and the Togbi, Mama, we thank all the elders, all the leaders for how much you have worked to put things together again after this has happened to people. Know that's how it will always be forever. We will stay strong. We will grow stronger and better as a nation, and we will get to where all our hearts will be glad. So on behalf of the Judiciary, on behalf of the Judicial Service of Ghana as an arm of government, we will present this to you, and it is our decision that the money will be used for one borehole and building materials also to assist with the homes that are coming up. And we know that with time, God will help us to put more together to bring to you for the purpose.
So that was the Chief Justice, and I just want to ask this question. We have a nation called Ghana. There's a disaster that was triggered by an action by a state institution, Volta River Authority. Volta River Authority at least has made some effort to raise money to support victims. But government as an institution may have a contingency fund, or government may just respond rapidly to the plight of as many people as possible who have been affected. The president visited the area, the president made a pledge, the finance minister went there, he at least made some donation or pledged 1 million cedis or so to support the victims. But over the last 3 months, we know, because information just leaked yesterday or so, that government has been able to raise $20 million to pay judgment debts. Yet within the same period, government has not been able to mobilize itself to reach out to the people. We know that there's been some effort to build shelters to accommodate the people. I understand that if that has not been done, it would mean that one of the secondary schools in the area would have been deprived of the students who are supposed to come in, because that was the only facility available for the people to have some place to lay their heads. And you'll be asking yourself, so in all this, after first month, second month, third month, are we saying that Ghana is so broke that nothing can be done to help not only the people of North Tong, but all the other Ghanaians from Yeji through the Adan areas to the other parts of the countries where we had reports about some of these floods? Well, the MP for North Tong obviously responded briefly, or spoke to this presentation by the Judicial Service. And so I want us to listen to him briefly, very short. We'll listen to one of the chiefs, then he'll be the toast of our conversation tonight.
On behalf of the chiefs, the queen mothers, and the displaced persons, the numbers are quite staggering. According to NADMO, 12,633 people have been displaced. 1,500 homes were totally damaged by the floods. And we have had to create 21 displaced camps in schools. And so that has meant that our school children are displaced twice, displaced from their homes and displaced from their schools. We've had the grace of volunteer teachers coming in to help us with the stopgap arrangement. We know it's not really the best, because concentration levels cannot be that high, with a lot of activity going on, offloading relief items and all of that, being under the mercy of the vagaries of the weather. But we are making the best out of the situation. And I must say that the goodwill, the compassion, and the fellow feeling of Ghanaians has really helped us to lessen the burden. And your gesture this afternoon will go a long way to alleviate the plight of our people. We are indeed very, very grateful. And I must say that you have taken us by surprise. We didn't know that Lady Chief Justice had initiated fundraising. And I don't really recall. I've been an avid follower of all of these current affairs, and I don't recall the last time we saw such a really beautiful gesture. Judges contributing personally, not from taxpayer funds, and coming to the aid of our people. We know that you like to, as your mandate is constitutionally, deliver justice and make sure justice is done. But today you are telling us that justice is not only contained in your judgments, but there is also mercy and love. And sometimes it can be experienced through your kindness. So we duly take note of that, and we convey our deepest appreciation to you. We are really in your debt, eternally in your debt. We are so, so grateful to you. When this news gets back home, displaced persons will be very joyous, because what it means is that they have not been forgotten. They have not become a forgotten group. That the high and mighty are thinking about them. The whole Chief Justice and our eminent jurists, the Apex Court and higher courts are all, with them in spirit and in solidarity, and also going beyond to offer this kind gesture. So we are very, very grateful to you, and we assure you that the purpose of this donation will be achieved. They will be sent directly to the victims. We have set up in Northtown what we call the Accountability Elders Council, and the chiefs are well represented. So they receive relief items, and every donation, the DC and I just receive reports and direction from them, and then we do the field work. So everything is transparent. There's accountability. They publish reports every month, and regularly they update the constituency, those who have come in to donate. So please, we assure you that systems have been put in place so that no peswa will be lost. Everything will go directly to the victims. So we are very, very grateful to you, and this is perhaps the happiest day since the disaster struck, and we are very, very grateful to you.
So that was the MP for Northtown, and we want to say thank you to the Chief Justice who personally took up this initiative and got the support of the Judicial Service. And we know by now that 125,000 cedis has been released. If you heard the Chief Justice, she says it must go to the construction of a borehole and the building of structures to accommodate the people. If there's time, I'll be giving you the opportunity to share your thoughts, because we are building a nation and you and I are taxpayers. Taxpayers' wish is that you contribute your quota to nation building by giving out what is due to government. And government's responsibility is to make sure that they are proactive to prevent disasters, but when they happen, they take responsive measures that will at least alleviate the plight of the people. We'll listen to one of the prominent chiefs from the Mepe traditional area, and then after that, I will then see if we can engage you. But don't forget that at the tail end of this conversation is my conversation with Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, because at the time when we were supposed to have this conversation, and the conversation actually is making sense of Ghana today. Making sense of Ghana today. I don't know what you feel about Ghana and whether you are desperate, you have given up, or you have hope that tomorrow something better can happen if all of us take collective decisions to right the wrongs. Let's listen to this chief. And if there's time, as I told you, I'll give you the opportunity, maybe 2-3 calls, to share your thoughts as we think along.
Your Ladyship, we want to assure you that we will not be the new Anania. This is meant for our unfortunate brothers and sisters, and we'll make sure they are the true beneficiaries of your contribution. Permit me to say you have delivered a natural justice that cannot be taken away or reviewed by anybody to eternity. I called my president and the registrar, and I said the Chief Justice has invited us to come. On the way coming in traffic, he called me again, and I said you shouldn't worry, because last week we were with him to deliver your lectures. Ladies and gentlemen, we are overwhelmed by your generosity. Continue praying for us. We will continue praying for all of us, because one remarkable thing that has happened was no lives were lost. I have to thank God for this wonderful thing that has happened to us. We look forward to your assistance, Oliver Twist. Yes, you managed to set aside a little bit of your purse to be able to help people you have not seen before, people you don't know. One day, one of them will be like you and also deliver the natural justice. Which, on behalf of the 3 traditional areas, I wish to express our sincere gratitude to all of you. Thank you very much.
So if you live in any part of this country, you can only imagine what these chiefs have gone through. Maybe kudos to the good heart as many Ghanaians as possible have. I was also privileged to hear from the Member of Parliament for North Tong something very instructive about why people are given so much support. It only gives an indication that as many Ghanaians as possible, not ordinary Ghanaians, key institutions have lost faith. They have simply lost faith. That is in the conversation I had with him. We'll be taking a break. When we come back, you will hear much more.
Upon your arrival, you are introduced to your butler, who plans your itinerary. So many activities, all in the same premises. Visit the gym or the stables, they have it all. At my break, I'm able to practice my putting. They used only electric vehicles here. This creates a serene environment. I'm told it's over 1,000 acres. My cabin here sits on 2 acres with a large terrace space overlooking my private swimming pool. Now this is royalty. They have their own farms, thousands of fruit trees. I can also have my lunch here at the waterfall. Quite a beautiful place you have yourself.
Masaka! Christmas Bonanza Rick Menraz! Free Monday 18th. This is Saturday 23rd of December. Masaka Christmas Bonanza Rick. There will be a lot of prizes. Achezima Gegege, Achezima Kotompo, Achezima Bamba. Masaka Bama Wachezama Webudo. It's Moda Yaide would say Dabasi. Inside Politics, the Gumbe Show, and Sada the Battleground. Now Friday, no, yet 22nd December now. Robert say Power FM. If you was a watcher TVXYZ, Ubenya Chesabe there. Gas stove papa. Onya Chesabe bre oka home. And paying a papas. The cash is a worry one bed. Lazy no big, yo big. Now Saturday 23rd December is it. What way Sikane Guadama? I cash no coffee Laja. Kundi. Money a Power X Mass jackpot. Sikanabo Florida man. Now so very in a big. It's more day I never dollar star 274. So what network in here MTN and now Vodafone. The road is clear for you. Listen up, yo. I use Vodafone and now MTN. Dalama man. Star 274 hash. Let Ramo promo muma. Kaida yawa Christmas season. Only a bronya. Masaka Christmas Bonanza Raza. Monday 18th, December 2023. Oh yes, Saturday. Achezina Bobudo. Masaka ze ekana erieda. Dama bronya Masaka ya. Oh you're biggie. Ya mobi your official pa.
Welcome back. This is Ideas Exchange, and my topic is making sense of Ghana today. And if there's lost hope, how do we work ourselves out? I also told you that just about some 45 minutes ago, I had wrapped up my interview with Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, which should be playing in the next few minutes. And so before I introduce you to some instructive statements he made, when I had this brief chat with him, I would also want you to share with me your pain, especially about how things have come this far and where the problem all started. For me, you are part of the problem. Maybe I'm also part of the problem, because if we sit as a people and we sit on the fence or we pretend as if we don't care about what is happening, the only reason why your right will be taken away from you is what we are witnessing, because you contribute to the national cake, and that national cake belongs to us, and it is our responsibility to ensure that that national cake is used judiciously. It's almost like having a group of people who have contributed to build a business called Ghana, and one of them is supposed to lead that business to make sure it grows, so that every shareholder will get a fair share of whatever is the profit. And this profit, in my opinion, will be the development that you need in your community, or what government will do as a policy to bring comfort to your home. And so if it is not happening, would you keep quiet? Would you sit down? Or would you speak out? The telephone numbers are on the screen, 0204, and then that is 0204-155-888, 0204-155-944. My producers want me to pick just 3 calls. Let me hear your views. Let me engage you. Let me understand exactly what you think has brought us this far. Whether you are the cause, or maybe it is because government is just having its way. And when I receive your conversation, we'll just find out whether you feel the same pain as people who are worrying and they don't know what the future looks like. Because if you want to move this country forward, it will be about us as Ghanaians who must begin to change the gear. Changing the gear is not only about waiting for an election to be held for a new president to come in, but changing the gear about our own attitudes and how we can checkmate everyday activity of those who manage our resources and the nation as a whole. Let me speak to the gentleman on the line. Good evening. Well, the line has dropped, but you note that in my preamble, I cited 3 issues that are trending. One has to do with the... Okay, let me pick this call. Hello. Thanks for your time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to contribute.
Yes, you can go ahead. You can go ahead and speak. I'm listening. Okay, Antina Mpachokasa. Very much. It's difficult. This is the biggest test I've had in my life. But what I can summarize from the snippets I picked is about a bitter woman who is disappointed in the state of our country today and feels that things must be done better. Let me pick another call and then 2 more, then we bring you the conversation I had with Okudzeto Blackwell.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, please. I want to contribute to your program.
May I know where you are talking to us from, sir?
I'm talking from Seria.
Seria should be in
Kumasi, Seria.
Right. Okay. Where the
original hospital.
Where the military hospital project is supposed to be ongoing.
No. The military hospital is Aferi. This is
Aferi.
Seria.
Okay. Seria.
Yeah,
okay.
Seria. That place to Mama Bed Hospital there.
Yes, and that hospital project has been completed and it's one of the flagship ones. But go ahead and let's hear you.
Please, Ghana, we need a military must rule Ghana. Please, I'm telling you. I was here to Kwanya, but the Shimu Debu, no be witness it.
Mpacho Nyabutre, Mr. Miana me say, Mpacho Nyabutre, Miana me say, Fred. And it's a wafra Nyabutre ni ndi nkomo. Minim se woni abre, but a hopa de me no enya adwen because me e beka me nisi di wo bank. Eno ane se bia se ye wo tumi a ebetumi akasa na aban etie ana o mo se ye mpie na ye kire na aban hu se amanfo ni abre a wo be pie enye se wo betena wo fie na waka se wo hwe social media ahwe se amanfo pie ya na because anoma no na ema obi befa wo fa ho die e twitwi fom ba say bia soje ni befa tuo ni ade de me de me nka ho na ye nso ye mfa ye ho enfore dia wo ka no but eno kire se woni abre but say wo bibi foforo kan wo tumi kan ba ho pa de me gidi say wo twisan abeye me de
Mati
one twi ansan yo
Mati ansan
okay and afa de kasa ni nti
That's the same. Young fat or mama. Young fat or mama. Young fat nimra.
Pachomatu here. Now, what yaw pa ne dien?
Hello.
Mesa what yaw pa ne dien?
Go hospital, see what may be a hospital, you really be out.
Say we are hospital no.
I said you hospital no, boss. Hey yo.
Okay. Thank you very much for. Thank you very much. Let me pick one more call, producers, if you bear with me, because sometimes when you toast such conversations and people want to call and you just cut it abruptly, it will not be fair. Maybe one more. Let's pick it and talk. Good evening. Well, yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. I want to contribute to your phone.
Yes, make it brief so that we can hear Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa now.
Thank you. Sir, very good that I'm part of this program tonight. I am always in the point that Ghana, we are not practicing democracy. We are practicing democracy.
What does it mean?
Yes, it's a democracy. I'm telling you, in democracy, democracy is all about accountability to the people. They say government is the people, by the people, and to the people, and for the people. Today, in Ghana here, are we in a military rule? Why today, as we are talking, if you even give any meaningful advice to the government of the day, he will not take it. What he is also doing, it is not right. It is sinking the nation. And then we all keep quiet and say that it is a democracy. We went and voted. We voted him basically on the rule of law. And he must come and practice the democracy by the same rules of law. You don't come and create your own whims and caprices and lord unto us.
Okay.
That is not democracy.
I understand you.
And then I understand you very well, and always I keep on emphasizing and talking that in Ghanaians, we do not understand democracy before we get there. The democracy, it is accountability. Let the president and everybody who have come into being to the realm of affairs of governance know that they are accountable to the people.
Okay. Unfortunately, I have to stop you here because my guest is Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. I started chasing him this afternoon when we all agreed that let's give his day to the Chief Justice and the Judicial Service, and after that, we have our chat. He looked very tired, and this conversation was just within the last hour. So I left his office, his small office, just around 7:30. You'll be surprised. And 8 o'clock, I have to be on set, and we are playing back our chat. Listen. Come back. This is Ideas Exchange on TV XYZ. This morning, I chanced on a statement somebody made on Facebook. He's Dr. Akofa Segbefia. He asked a basic question that ECG owes Asogli plant over $60 million. And so he's wondering why ECG would not be thinking of raising money to pay the Asogli power plant, but it is procuring 1,000 motorbikes for the Ghana Police Service. And we all know they have already taken delivery of 200 motorbikes. And so it brings to question priorities and what government does, whether it is pleasing itself or it is taking actions in the interest of the people of Ghana. This same issue brings to question the concerns we have raised about the National Cathedral, for example. And so in my introduction, I told you I'll be speaking to a young politician who has earned public respect and public admiration, not because of the debate he makes on the floor of Parliament, but because of the consistency of his commitment to fight for the interest of the Ghanaian. Mr. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is the MP for North Tong, we all know, ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. You recall that in the early stages of Nana Akufo-Addo's government, he took a certain action which saved Ghana over $4.5 million. This was about when there was some smart moves to trade off Ghana's chancery in Norway, We all know of the National Cathedral issues he has followed. We all know, for example, that he consistently chased government and stopped President Akufo-Addo from spending public funds on private jets, expensive private jets. Tonight, my conversation will be on two folds. We want to look at making sense of our country today. But before that, we just heard the Chief Justice who made a donation of over 125,000 cedis to the people of Mepe. And of course, many areas have been flooded, and a lot of Ghanaians are wondering what really has pushed Ghanaians to show so much appreciation, not only to the victims, but they are taking actions because they trust and believe the MP for North Town. He's my guest tonight, and you are welcome again.
Thank you very much.
I followed you to the Chief Justice's office.
Yes, thank you.
And then I followed you to this small office for this conversation.
I spent half of the day with you.
Half of the day with me, and it's a privilege. And some admire you for what you do. Now, when you think through what the Judicial Service, led by the Chief Justice, the gesture today, 125,000 cedis is a huge sum for many Ghanaians who are struggling. But for a state to keep the people's support that they have promised hanging, and for many Ghanaians to show such goodwill, how does it come through your mind?
Eric, first of all, let me say good evening to viewers, and let me thank the Honorable Chief Justice for her very kind gesture. And she says that she decided to mobilize amongst the judges, amongst the Judicial Service staff, and they all contributed. They said in all about 340 of them made contributions. Really touching. I mean, to have her ladyship, the Chief Justice, Chief Justice Gertrude Sabatokonu, initiating this herself and calling me. When I received her call, I was really taken aback. I mean, really surprised. I mean, I hope I haven't, offended anybody. I hope it's not a summons, And she said, look, we have been following the great job you are doing. You have been very selfless, and we thought we should also encourage you. So come with your chiefs. We have a surprise for you. And today, 125,000 cedis. I mean, that is a lot of money. And I like the fact that they've been very specific and very thorough. They have done their own assessment. They've seen what the people need. So they say that they will use they will use the money for one borehole, and then the rest they will buy building materials. They've heard about our self-help initiative to build houses. Everybody has seen the first one, the First Sky Group helped us to execute that one, and 300 displaced persons have been moved into that. Because of that intervention, we've been able to save Mepe St. Kizito Senior High School, because that was the biggest displaced camp, and already continuing students have not been able to go to school for 7 weeks. Then the first years, the Minister of Education has been adamant, contrary to even the unions, Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament, everybody admonishing the Minister to have the students go to school early January, because what's the point in rushing them through just a few days, then they have to break for Christmas. But the Minister insisted. So the Computerized School Selection Placement Secretariat has placed 800 people in Mepe St. Kizito. But anytime they come there, because displaced people are there, they go back and they are seeking reposting. So there was a real threat that the school will collapse. And so we had to hurry with the construction. And I'm glad that we set a new record.
So that does it mean that, but for this initiative, the people would have been occupying that facility, and students would not have gone to school?
Yes, students would not have gone to school, and the school will have collapsed. My first St. Kizito would just have collapsed. Because put yourself in the shoes of, we are all parents. If everybody's child is in school, you alone, just by virtue of the fact that you allowed your child to go to Mepe St. Kizito, and there's a disaster, they are using the place as a displaced camp because government could not relocate the people before the disaster to a safe haven, which is what should have been done. As God will do it in his own divine arrangements, Saglemi Housing Project is not far from North Town. under 40 kilometers, you are there. I kept appealing. I called the Works and Housing Minister on several occasions. I said, look, why don't you, bring my people to Sagleme? Because President Mahama spent almost $200 million for those housing, over 1,500 housing units. People could have managed there. And the students who are displaced twice, I keep reminding people that in North Town, the school pupils, the students, they are displaced twice, displaced from their homes and displaced from their schools, because the 21 displaced camps we have are all schools. And as long as these displaced persons continue to use the schools or are putting up in the schools, the children can't have access to their schools to resume their academic work. So, but for this intervention, St. Kizito Senior High School will have collapsed. Now, even after we relocated the people, the district director, the chiefs, Mwepe Development Association, the headmaster, and my good self, the DC, we've had meetings. We've put together the list of things that we need for the school to be brought back, because after all of these weeks of thousands of people living there, you can just imagine the pressure on facilities. The school is really in some ruin, and you will need interventions. We've sent the list of items that we need to the Ministry of Education, to the Ghana Education Service, and no response. We are still waiting. So I have had to, after relocating the people to the first facility, I have now had to, on my own, pay a fumigation company to go and fumigate the school. And I have also now ordered paints, and I'm using local painters from Mwepe. They are starting painting tomorrow morning because they bought the paints today. And you wonder, where is government? We feel so abandoned.
Does it come to you as a government that is genuinely broke, and for which reason they are unable to take such priority decisions to solve problems that were created by government as an institution through VRA?
You know the work I do. I take my investigative role as a member of parliament seriously. And I have intercepted so many documents. I keep tracking government expenditure. Nobody will convince me that this is a government that is broke. Earlier today, I put out fresh payments that has been made, 230.5 million Ghana cedis in judgment debt to GPGC, Trafigura, a judgment debt which was totally avoidable. It's the recklessness of this government. And then I have also followed other transactions. I will soon be publishing details of how much the taxpayer spent on that, reckless delegation, large-size delegation to COP28 in Dubai. So if you see how the government is living lavishly, their reckless expenditures, the willful financial loss that they are creating, I don't see how anybody can justify this neglect. This is a government that has just been derelict. And when you add the president's statement to all of what is going on, then you get the real context. Because when the president came to Mwepe, he told us in the face, in the presence of the chiefs, that you people don't vote for me. Really, I shouldn't be here. And there was an outrage, you recall. I do. Public outrage. And look, I can tell you that a lot of companies who have come to Northtown to donate, they've told me quietly that, look, after we heard that statement, we knew that you guys are doomed. There will be no real help coming to you if we don't reach out to you. So that is why over 200 companies and individuals, foundations, have come through my office to help the people. And I'm so grateful to Ghanaians. But for Ghanaians, my people will have just died out of starvation. They will just, continue to live like refugees in their own country, be in destitution, live in abject squalor. If you look at some of the interventions we've had to carry out, for example, the roads that were cut off, I had to talk to engineers and planners, and then Mawum's Construction Company Limited, and they came to help us out. Even the stagnant waters that, for many weeks, I had to talk to engineers and planners, to come and do dredging, and then we had to pump the water out back into the river. These are things that, you know, you expect government to do, the institutions. We have the Ghana Armed Force, the president, the commander-in-chief. It just takes a directive. You remember that at some point even they had withdrawn the soldiers. They thought that they could do it quietly on a Sunday.
For the statement
but it was just damage control. They claimed they were going to do another operation. But so what happened to the operation? Because 30 minutes after my publication, because the commander, and you know he was changed subsequently. Sure. The commander came to shake my hands and said, "Oh, it's been nice working with you. We have been recalled back. We are all going to Accra." And I was livid. I was like, I mean, look at the water levels, still high. Buildings are submerged. How are my people going to cross? Yet the only boat we are using, which is our tax boat with our taxes, you know, belongs to us. And then you've been recalled. He said, we only follow orders. You know, you could tell that they themselves were so depressed and dejected. They couldn't believe this order. So when alarm blew, thanks to my advocacy, putting it on social media, you know, and then thanks to you in the media, you know, picking it up. Then 30 minutes. So the commander rushed to me and said, "Please, the order has been reversed. Talk to my boss. Talk to the commander, our overall boss." And I spoke to him. These are facts. I would not make up a story. I mean, what do I gain by making up this story? So when you look at all of these things, you know, and the fact that, but for even this intervention, you see, I struggle to, you know, when this disaster struck, I called my DC. I had a meeting with all the party executives on both sides, and I said that, look, this disaster did not make any, you know, distinction between who is NPP, who is NDC. My constituency chairman's house was totally submerged, destroyed. My women's organizer, her house damaged, you know, and I know NPP activists whose houses also, you know, have been damaged. So I said, look, let's work together. So if you have seen a lot of the photos, I mean, when Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, for example, came to donate, the DC was there, the NADMO boss was there. I always invite them. I mean, when First Kai came to donate, I invited all of them. Even though these people will call me, I will invite them, I will invite the chiefs that, look, I've received calls from donors, they are coming, please, let's show a united front. So it's been very difficult for me. I don't want to be seen politicizing, but you see, it is the truth. For example, I have been raising in Parliament that this year, in the 2023 budget, we allocated 533 million Ghana cedis for the contingency vote. Contingency, if you look at all dictionaries in the world, is for emergencies. It's for things that happen that you can't foresee, that you could not have planned. So this situation, this disaster, this is when we should all feel the relevance of the contingency vote. And yet, not a pesewa has been released from the contingency. All the money so far, the 20 million, according to ministers who have come to Parliament to brief us, including the energy minister, who was the last person to confirm, that is VRA that has put 20 million cedis aside for relief items so far as this disaster is concerned. And we confronted the minister. So we asked them, you've set up an interministerial committee. Where is central government's contribution? Why is the contingency vote not being used? 533 million. 2 years ago, I caught you guys that you were using the contingency vote for a national cathedral project. National cathedral is something the president envisaged, planned, thought of, set up board of trustees. It doesn't qualify under contingency. It is a violation of the Public Financial Management Act. And yet, you were using contingency vote for things that are not giving money to David Ajay. You know, they released 339 million of our taxes for what has become the world's most expensive hole. Out of that 339 million, David Ajay alone was giving 130 million. Another chap called Carrie Summers was giving $6 million to just go and chill in America. When I went to investigate, he has no Nehemiah Group. He sells coffee, you know. So all kinds of crookish, you know, dubious conduct with the contingency vote. Now that we have a real emergency, so you see, they make it difficult for, because it is the fact. We have to speak truth to power, and we must continuously speak to the conscience of the nation. We are all Ghanaians. We all pay taxes. Why treat fellow Ghanaians this way?
Now, when I listened to the Chief Justice today, I got the narrative, just as the pain you have just shared. Now, this will be brief. Just as companies or individuals, or maybe the Judicial Service, for example, is saying that government is not really showing interest in fast-tracking whatever they've promised. Do you get the same sentiments from the international community, because you are the member of the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee?
Yes, I can confirm that the international community is not pleased with us, with the government. You know, they expected that the government would declare a state of emergency. Because when I talk to a lot of them, they say that that is what they need as a trigger. If a state of emergency had been declared, they will all have stepped in. So if you have observed, a number of them have come directly to donate.
I remember the German.
The Germans have done that, the Turkish have done that, the Cubans sent us doctors, you know. Some have donated through UNICEF and the UN bodies. You talk to the UN multilateral agencies, and they say that they would really have wished that there was a declaration of a state of emergency so that they can trigger their emergency relief mechanisms.
And then give us the support that we need.
But unfortunately, that was not done.
My guest is Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, is the MP for North Tong. And of course, many of you know the initiatives that he has taken. As we speak, we don't have much time for this conversation because it's going to be very brief. If I look at my time, it's just about 7:20, and this conversation is just something I've hijacked him to give us. What is of interest to many Ghanaians is the expose today about the quiet action government took, paying as much as $20 million, over 230 million cedis, in the name of judgment debt. And many are asking, so government has money and just recently it could pay so much. So the question is, who caused it, and is that all? Can you help us? What would you do beyond this expose?
So let me give a quick background. So government came into power, the Akufo-Addo administration, and decided that this power purchase agreement, which had been entered into between the government and GPGC, which is Trafigura, is the majority shareholder, they will abrogate that contract. They were reckless about it, wrongful, you know, illegal, abrogation. They didn't follow due process, you know. They created this judgment debt, which they have started paying. Now, they claim that there was excess power and that it was expensive and all of that. And this happened during the period Boache Jaco was energy minister. Now, remember that on the 26th of October, he issued a statement saying that he didn't take the decision alone and that it went to cabinet. So virtually roped in everybody, that clearly President Akufo-Addo, pardon me, is responsible for this. Now, if you look at the entire agreement, if we had allowed GPGC to just supply power, they will have supplied power for 5 years, and we'll have had to pay them just $114 million for the 5-year period. And they will have supplied us power. We'll get power for industries, for our hospitals, you know, jobs to be created. They will have worked to earn that money, $114 million. Today, thanks to the recklessness of the Akufo-Addo Ufuriata government, they are doing no work. They were stopped from deploying their machines, which arrived in this country, rotting at the Tema port. The Akufo-Addo government asked them to back off, not to execute the contract. And yet, we now have to pay them $140 million, more than what we will have paid them in 5 years. We have to pay all now. And you know why government had to hurriedly start paying? They attached our diplomatic properties in London. So they were going to sell Regina House, which is a building.
Because there was rumors recently that proposed Sankama was
Yes. They had attached Regina House, where Ghana International Bank is, and that was the first building that would go. They were going to just auction it, you know. They had Ganeshida accounts. They had attached to those properties that belong to us because they're very angry, very, very, very livid that they did. I mean, and if you read the judgment and you see what the courts are saying about the recklessness of this government. So this is willful financial loss. And you see, you ask yourself, 230.5 million. And that is just part payment. The judgment debt is $140 million. That is about 1.6 billion Ghana cedis. 1.6 billion. So you ask yourself, I mean, why are we even at the IMF? Why? The IMF has imposed all of these draconian measures, more taxes, financial haircuts, domestic debt restructuring. Pensioners can't have access to their bonds. I mean, at a time that about 40,000 of your citizens have been displaced, government says it doesn't have money for emergency housing. And yet, you can pay, cough up.
How much, when was this money paid?
This was signed on the 14th of November this year, just a few... 2023, just a few weeks ago. Less than a month. After the disaster. After the disaster.
Government could raise $20 million.
Government could raise 230 million cedis. After the disaster. And guess what? If you look at even the allocation they have made in the 2024 budget, it's less than this part payment. For the whole of 2024, to resolve this matter, government says it can come up with only 220 million, which cannot build the houses that we need for all the people. They say they have applied to World Bank and then the Global Shield to come and support them. Something we could have got for free, we don't have to apply if you declare the state of emergency. So 220 million for the whole year for over 40,000 flood victims. And yet, only a few days ago, you have released 230.5 million Ghana cedis because of reckless decisions, callous decisions. Oh, it was done by former President Mahama. Probably he knows some people in the company. Let's punish them. Political vendetta. Let's go after our political enemies. And you forget that it is the Ghanaian people you are punishing. That is why some of us believe that the time has come that we should even amend that willful financial loss provision in our statutes and make sure that the people who cause it pay from their pockets. Let's start confiscating their properties. They should, because you see, they create the financial loss. And then it's the taxpayer, so they don't lose anything. It is still the taxpayer who has to pay for it.
So the decisions are the pleasure of a few individuals.
Yes, a few individuals. And the only way now, that's why I said in that post, that the only way now really is for us to make sure we vote for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to come to power so that we can have those who have caused this 1.6 billion Ghana cedis financial loss prosecuted. This is the only way, because you know that the current regime will not prosecute their own. But you see, when you put all of this in context, it's clear that Ghana is not broke. It's clear that government can do better, government can take care of these flood victims, government could have built emergency. If we, private people, we could do this partnership, the chiefs donated land freely, First Sky provided the building, I am doing furnishing, I'm taking care of utilities, light bill, water bill for the people, and government cannot do something like this. And it's been 3 months, government says they are broke, they are helpless. They've now applied to World Bank, they've now applied to Global Shield.
And they are paying judgment.
And yet, you can pay judgment debt, 230.5 million. I mean, what kind of government is this? What kind of wickedness is this to your own people?
So that was Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Ran into the other hour. Our conversation tonight was making sense of Ghana today. My name is Ahainyo. I wish I was in the studio with him, but of course, even though we started this conversation just before the start time, which is 8 p.m., I believe he has given us some food for thought. Good night. See you again next week.